Hey, this is Paul with LSP Data, and on this video, I wanted to walk you through finding tax delinquencies that eventually lead to tax liens, and for the purposes of reaching out to motivated sellers and potentially closing out on a off-market deal. So let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about the tax delinquency life cycle, as I like to call it. So initially, this is specifically for Texas, but you'll have a period of when taxes are due, right? So typically taxes are due in Texas on January 31st. If they're not paid, eventually there's a notice, delinquent notice that gets sent to the mail of the homeowner, or if there's an absentee owner, it gets sent to their mailing address, right? Then if the property owner fails to pay that, eventually the state government places a tax lien of the property, and this is the area that, as a investor or wholesaler and whatnot, this is the area that you can come in and offer to assist, specifically if that homeowner is having problems. Let's say they're having some sort of financial problems, and you can come in and sort of help out in the situation, right? So again, if the lien gets placed, eventually the property gets a foreclosure, right? So at this point, there may be an actual lien placed on the property, and basically, well, the lien's already placed, but the lawsuit for tax foreclosure, and this is where properties can be sold at tax foreclosure auction, which a lot of times, if the mortgage hasn't been paid off, the bank eventually is the one that usually buys them. And it's interesting to know, though, if this goes at a tax foreclosure auction, a person buys it, right? The original property owner has up to 6 months for non-homestead properties and up to 2 years of homestead properties to pay back the taxes plus a certain percentage of late fees, and get their property back, right? That's why, in my opinion, should always focus just on that initial tax delinquency and reaching out to that property owner, because if they truly have certain factors, financial or other motivational factors, this is the area that you probably want to reach out to them, right? So how do you do that, right? How do we come across properties that are currently tax delinquent? So I have a quick solution. If you're familiar with how to search in Google, you can search. You can set up what I call a query. Here I'm searching for tax delinquent data or data sets, or as a CSV, like an Excel file, and open data, or that's ready for also gives us the option to download, right? And we're doing this after 2023. You can do after 2024. Probably makes more sense. And here, as you can see, you'll get different types of websites. So I would suggest to look for those specific ones that are in your county or city, and that way you'll be able to access them, right? If you need more sort of ideas on how to do this, right, I would ask ChatGPT, right? Give me a good list, a Google query to find Texas tax delinquent or whatever state you're in. So this one gave me a slightly different one, but still similar concept, right? You can find specific properties, right? For in this case, Travis County, I can see that, Tarrant County, and a few other areas because I'm focusing on Texas, right? So again, you can figure out properties that are currently delinquent, and like I said, those would be the best, in my opinion, to reach out as they're still in that early stages. The other bit, which I can, in Texas that I came across, is that you can download something called a tax roll, right? So if you search for Texas tax roll download, this is a historical file typically that has the properties that are currently delinquent, and they may show you how much they owe, how long they've been delinquent, and that sort of thing. The files can be very large, so you may need to know either for this particular one is in the .zip. This file is a few gigabytes long, So some of them you may require a special text editor like Notepad++ or similar. Some of them are smaller and they're very easy to read, like in Excel and whatnot, but this can give you a pretty good idea of those historical properties that you can reach out to. And again, a lot of those, we focus on niche data, right? So this may give you an upper hand compared to people using commercial platforms and whatnot. So that's a quick sort of way to find current tax delinquent status. Major cities have something called open data, which I touched on previous videos. So you may come across those particular ones as well. So if you search for tax delinquent open data, right, and your specific city, you may get specific tax delinquencies, right, for, as you can see, New York and a few other counties in the States. So I'll jump into our platforms. So again, we have Virtual Drive for Dollars platform, which allows you to drive for dollars. And we also have our LSP data, which is specifically for code violations and other types of data. But since we're in the topic of tax liens, right, we make it easier to select, which, if there's any tax delinquencies on top of sort of the other criteria that we've done for the driving for dollars, right? So in this case, this particular parcels are tax delinquent. So if we search within Harris County, we should come across those properties that are tax delinquent, right? And obviously you'll get, however much they owe and all that good information. But also you get the information about the property, who owns it, etc., right? And for Dallas, we have similar examples. It's as simple as setting tax delinquents to yes, and all of those are the tax delinquencies. Depending on the city, we may even show you how much tax were owed. So that may give you a quick determination whether you want to reach out to those property owners or not. And again, there's a few websites that you can check, official websites, so you can check the status of those delinquencies, right? So that way it can give you a little bit more. Basically, we have very accurate data, and we're pulling this type of data on fairly frequent basis. So again, those are two ways that you can find tax delinquent properties. And again, we would focus here in this space. And again, you want to come from a way when you're reaching out to these individuals, ask how you can help them out, right? You're here to solve a problem. And a lot of times, again, people, for whatever reason, they're in these situations, financial situations, but you're here to help and offer solutions, right? Again, I would suggest that if you're not super familiar with this, search on Google, do multiple queries here. And if it's not for Texas, we could do New Jersey. And again, every city is going to have something slightly different. So play around with the keywords, because, for example, for Texas, they call it tax rolls, delinquencies, right? In other states, they may just call them liens, or even when we use the language of the appraisal district, right? In Texas, it's typically the County Appraisal District, and in other states, it may be something like the tax assessor, and different language. So anyways, that's pretty much it. Again, our platforms make it easier for you to filter out on whether there's tax delinquencies and whatnot, and also to on top of that, whether there's any kind of code violations and complaints. And our Virtual Drawing for Dollars platform allows you to find also pictures. So that way you can find properties that are basically in specific distress situations, and it makes it easy for to find off-market deals. So that's it. Thanks for watching. If you have any specific topic that you want me to cover, just add it in the comments. And I'll leave some resources on the video if you want to find this type of information on your own. And again, just give it a follow, like, or share the video. And thanks again.